Oh, Tim's on mute.
I'm on. There I am going, good evening,
There you go.
everybody. Sat on mute. So remind yourself, bring yourself off mute after we have our new trailers. But who's hyped now for Dungeonfell after that awesome sort of trailer for the game? So good evening, everybody. I'm Tim, and welcome to RGR Live. And I'm joined by Blunners.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm just about to do my usual, and I'm about to give away a membership. So someone is about to level up. Let us know. Well, you'll let me know now as I press pay. And we will see who gets it. But yes, really good. Really excited to talk about Dungeonfell. Great. I've really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
And our guest for this evening, Barry from Bad Fox Studios. So good evening, Barry. Thank you for joining us.
No, it's really a pleasure. And, hi to everyone in the channel and everyone listening. And thanks for the invite, guys.
No worries, excellent. Should we say hello to a few people in the chat? You're running the chat, aren't you, Blan, as well?
Yeah, I'll do it. So
if I click on buttons, I'll be removing them as you're putting them on. So.
Yeah, so Tales from the Junkland Waste, you have just leveled up. Well done, my friend. You will get some exclusive content from us. So first, we have Toxo.
Good evening, Toxo. Always good to see you. Got Mr. David Newland. Hello again. Thank you for joining. We've got Mags in the house. We've got and Toxo. And Blunners is here.
Oh,
well, yeah, so thanks everyone in the chat for joining. And don't forget, we have got a giveaway this evening. So be sure to stay tuned to make sure you're in with a chance of winning a copy of Dungeonfell. So that'll be exciting. As we start all our shows, Barry, before we sort of talk about Dungeonfell in your game, we'll get to know you a little bit as well as a gamer and programmer. So what are your early gaming memories? What first got you into the hobby of gaming? And then how did that sort of transition into working? And then we'll move on to talk about Bad Fox Studios. But what kind of got you interested in gaming to begin with?
It's going to be the most weirdest story I think you've ever heard. My son, we're going back many years now. My son was always into gaming, so was I. And we got to a point where I was returning from overseas, used to be an expat doing commercial engineering type delivery. And one of my hobbies at that time was Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I was annoyed that there was no really good scenery for England that I could fly over. So we emailed one of the leading companies of flight simulator scenery and asked them if why they didn't do scenery for Flight Simulator in England. And they come back and said, because we're too busy. So we emailed them and said, well, we'll build it for you. To which, surprise, surprise, they said, go on then. So I literally turned around to my son in those days, we're going back many years, and said, right, we need to build Microsoft Flight Simulator for gaming. And he said, yep, let's do it. And it started there, really. That was in different guises, different companies. And from there, we've sort of moved on. My son went off to college and uni and done a lot more different things. And Bad Fox was born really on his return from uni with, I would say, about 8 to 10 people that we knew or interacted with, because we believe that games can only be made with real people that are really committed to wanting to make the game rather than just a commercial conveyor belt. All of us in the company love gaming. David, our art director, I don't think there's a game on the planet that if you mention, he'll tell you the rules, the lead characters. He's just a walking dictionary gaming. Eddie, who's our lead designer, absolutely the same. As I say, Samuel, who's our lead IT and coder, exactly the same, loves gaming. So the passion is in us. So it's very easy to do this for a living, as long as you ignore the commercial success, because money is very hard to find in gaming. They'll tell you that there's billions of dollars there, but trust me, when you're an indie, it's a long sort of process of hours. But the passion to just do something, that's where it's come from. So so my first part of my career was not gaming, but always played gaming. Second part, or the last 10, 12 years has been gaming sort of centric, and that's where we are.
Other than Flight Sim then, so when you're into gaming before doing this, what kind of games were your go-tos? What sort of systems did you have?
We normally had, me as an individual, I've always liked either sim games. I also played a lot of Valve and Half-Life when I was sort of younger. There was always sort of like the funfair games or builder games or sim builder games, in our house, roller coaster tycoon type of things going on. There was always a go-to game, but I think from a point of view of, if you ask me where my Steam library is and my go-to, yes, it normally is sort of like a builder or sim or strategy type game, but we'll literally play anything. We really will. If it's something new or it looks good, or the only games we don't really play are like gacha type, silly, just press a button and see what happens. They have their own market sector and they're fine and they do well. But we're pretty much sort of old school. We just like a game where you've got a start and end and a bit of a grind, and it's not that easy just to play it. You've got to think a little bit as well, and that's really where we come from. So from the choice of if you went around our office, you'd have had absolute diverse range of games that they're constantly playing. One at the moment that two guys are playing is the Warhammer. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's completely gone, but it'll come back.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. The Warhammer one's
Sorry,
on
sir.
Xbox.
Rogue Traders. So, three of us
Yeah.
are playing that at the moment because the storyline in that is great. It's like reading the book, isn't it? So, we love that. Slay the Spire, Eddie, plays many, many hours. But there's so much. Myself, I tend to play a lot of Satisfactory purely because I like the organization and the build factor. And, if I'm trying to lose a few hours on a Sunday afternoon, it just goes, just sit in the shed, put Satisfactory on, build a structure or build a process line, and away I go. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. We just love gaming.
Awesome. Good stuff. So you mentioned starting then going into Bad Fox Studios and having a team of people sort of getting together on that. So how did you guys get started on your first game and what was the process like for that?
The first game we decided we wanted to build, we had this vision for a multiplayer game. Really not the first game you should ever build for many reasons. But we wanted to build it, so we decided we were going to build it because we're a bit like that. All of our team had different skills, and we wanted to make something that was internal to us. We didn't want lots of contractors. We didn't want to buy lots of assets and patches, and that's not because we didn't want to credit anybody else. We just wanted to say we've built this together and it's ours. Nothing more than that, as in, can we achieve what we're doing? We didn't have network knowledge at that time. We didn't know how to deploy on AWS. It was a blank sheet of paper. Everyone that came to the team had a skill sector, be it an artist, be it a rigger, be it a coder, etc. But what we did is we made sure that we didn't work in isolation. So everyone had a call, everyone had a say, everyone had a voice, and we all learnt one another's jobs. So if you're a game designer, it's great to come up with an idea, but do you know how long that's going to take an animator or a rigger or a modeler to make? Is it possible to code with what we've got and the budget resource? So there's many sort of jigsaw puzzles to put together. So what we decided is we would just literally spend hours and hours looking at YouTube videos, learning things, trying things out, making things, looking at it, going, that's wrong, we need it to work this way, undoing it, rebuilding it. And it was a very slow process, but a solid process. When we came to launch Super Squad, it was done in such a way that it was fully deployed on AWS. We had cross pollination, so Steam and Epic game users could log in from their associate shop, but play with leaderboards and games. So everything was where we needed. Latency was absolutely minimal, and we had and to this day, we have a real good core player base, and it's played every day. The only problem with multiplayer is obviously the time lapse of trying to get people that want to play to hit. So fine, we had to put bots in. Well, we didn't just go out and subcontract that to some AI company. We actually put our own bots in. We actually done our own coding, and away we went. So the queue times now are not a problem because you can play bots. And unless you've got really, really lots of money to pump that in marketing, it's really hard. And if you read some of the profiles of even some of the big boys in this industry, it's a money soak to get a multiplayer off the ground. So we're very proud of Super Squad, and we love Super Squad, and it's played regularly to this day. But it's definitely not. It definitely wasn't a build of let's go and make some commercial gain. It was a build of can we achieve what we want. And we did that very successfully. And my team that built Super Squad to this day immensely proud of everything they did, because it was a white sheet of paper. All of our individuals had no industry experience per se at that beginning of time. They had no assisted learning apart from just go on YouTube and find it. That's basically it. So to produce what they did is phenomenal. And to this day, Super Squad, as I say, we still get concurrent players and users every day. And it's a really smart little game. One day somebody might come knocking and say, yeah, we'll pick this up and we'll push that out. But, we're one of so many in a sort of publishers world that that's another story which we could come on to. But that's where we got Super Squad. Now, at that time, once Super Squad was launched, we talked to a few people that wanted us to make them certain games, and they were mainly mobile games. We looked at doing that, and we had some large clients that were talking to us. Our problem was whenever we tried to make a mobile game they wanted, they either wanted us to make Monopoly Go for £20, which is like impossible, or they wanted to make a casual game. The problem is we're all gamers in Padfox, okay? It's really hard to make a casual game when you want something that makes you think, because unless you're a casual game player, and I mean just, one of our clients said, if you build this game, can we have an automatic play button so they can just press the button and the game plays? And it's like, wow, yeah, okay, and we struggled with that. So we agreed in the end to back away and build our own game. Our comfort ground is PC and consoles. That's where we grew up and love. So we decided we would build Dungeonfell. We would make it turn-based because we believe there's not that many turn-based, and we know not everyone's going to love turn-based games, and that's fine. You're all in your own channel. But we wanted a turn-based game where you could reflect and think, almost like the air of chess, as in everyone can play it at any level. But the more you play it and the more you think about it and the further you get with the combinations and the moves, it becomes harder and harder and harder. So you can have two newbies play chess and have a really good fun time for half an hour. Or you can have two grandmasters that are at it absolutely solid for 2 weeks, and the one slight wrong move was game over. And we wanted that sort of feeling into something where, there was a little bit of a grind and a complexity. Obviously, Eddie, game designer, is very much into Slay the Spire, etc. So we also wanted that roguelike feel. So it wasn't, not just rinse and repeat, but it had that nature of we haven't got the money to build sort of some monolith AAA game. It's got to be quite small and contained, but we wanted that to have replayability and to have a strategy and structure around it that gave something back. So yeah, we started playing Dungeonfell on bits of paper and cardboard that we cut on a coffee table.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had Jack in the office and a few others that used to sit at the coffee table, especially with Eddie and a few others. And we would literally play on pieces of paper and card. And it was all written out. And then we had these cardboard counters. And I think the guys played for literally 2 months on a coffee table upstairs, just playing the game and playing it and writing down ideas and playing the game and writing down ideas. And then slowly that got fed into a structured idea that could start to be coded up. And slowly that could be then fed into David to start engineering characters, backgrounds and ideas. And we literally copied what was on the coffee table into the PC. And then we played it, then you balance it, and then you move on. We, as a budget, should have maybe took Dungeonfell and tested it for 6 months, 9 months, etc., with player base before launching. But as I say, we don't have that sort of budget or that nicety to do that. So we took the decision that the game is good enough to launch, which it is, absolutely. But we are still 24-hour a day monitoring and tweaking and playing with that. So it's going to be constantly nurtured and nursed. We have some fantastic ideas, but at the same time, we don't want to overcomplicate what we've got as well, if that makes sense. It's a real fine balance of knowing when to let go and when to keep supplying. Because if you don't push patches and you don't give players retentional ideas, they can feel that as a dev, you've just gone, there you go, I'm on to something else. And we don't want to come across like that. We love our baby. That's our baby. We want to keep it nurtured. But at the same time, you don't want to keep twinkling and people say, oh, for goodness sake, can you leave this alone? Because we need to get where we are. So that's a real fine balance to find as a developer. But what is important for us is that the game has a very strong core, which we believe and our feedback tells us we have. But we want gamers to be pushed at a level. So, for example, I'll give you an idea. We started at a base level of corruption at level 0. So you could go right through the game at level 0 on each level. And the idea was, as you completed them, there's a corruption meter and you could turn it up. So you go corruption 1, corruption 2, corruption 3, corruption 4. Now, corruption 0 is for base players coming in, newbies, quite rightly. So it's quite easy. Now, you could literally go right through the game at base level and go, well, that was easy, because missed the corruption, okay?
Yeah.
And we thought, well, two things there. The game can come across as too easy. If you look at some YouTube channels, they're whizzing through, and you can see in the comments, hey, love the look at this, but wish it had a bit more complexity. And we're sitting there going, oh, but it has. You just need to give it that little push. So one of the ideas we had was, what we will do is every time you win a level and you go to the next level, we are going to automatically push corruption up. And then, so your level 2, if you like, will be on level 2 corruption. Level 3 will be on level 3 corruption. But what we'll do is show the corruption level. And if it becomes too hard, you as a gamer can turn it down. So we're putting the action that we're going to push you all the time and you make the choice to turn it down, as opposed to we'll turn it down and you make the action of making it hard, because people will miss that. And since we've done that, the feedback's been awesome. And you start to see some of the YouTubers struggling on the levels now, where before they were just bouncing through. And all of a sudden, the purpose of the skills, the spells, the relics, they're now coming alive, because without the grind of the gold or the other bits to open and unlock some of these, you're not going to complete some of the harder levels. But if you carried on at base level, you was just pounding through. So we feel that we've made some changes like that very quickly on a spin of the dice, which really affect the gameplay and give the gamers that push, which is what it's got to be about. We obviously make games to try and get a financial income, because that keeps us alive. We're not going to deny that. But our main purpose is to try something that gamers want to pay the money for and actually get their money as a value and say, I enjoyed that and I might play that again. That's the buzz that we want. Everything else should be a byproduct. And we were just feeling that Dungeonfell definitely had that, but there's just a couple of tweaks. Now, all the time we're monitoring the channels, we're monitoring feedback. We get direct messages via Discord, emails coming in. I want this, I want this, I want this. Some things are possible. Some things would break the core mechanics, so won't be done. But we think it's very key to actually have an open communication channel with all messages coming in, so people know, A, they're being heard, B, their great idea, why it's being put in, or their great idea, why it's not being put in, and work as a community and try and find that balance. And that's really what, we as a studio are about, or we try to be. But we think we've got a novel little game here. If you're not, as I say, into turn-based and strategy, of course you're not going to, like this one, but we are advertising it as a turn-based strategy game. So hopefully the clue's in the title.
But it's interesting to say, like, looking at like mobile games and what that market's like. And there's definitely like that. You see, it's like the casual gamers on mobile, and then you've got sort of more serious gamers looking at PC and console. And there are some good mobile games. I find now it's really hard to actually find them, because there's so many games now where I've like, oh, that looks interesting. I download it and it says that it's a free game, and you download it and actually you can't even really start the game or get past the first level until you then buy it. It's like, just tell me that there's a price before I download the game. Don't trick me into downloading it for free and then tell me it's worth, I have to pay for it. And then there's the model of freemium games, which I think for me, it's really put me off mobile games, because it's like, oh, it's a free game, but you have to buy like little bits here and there and spend 50p and then spend £1, rather than just buying the game outright. And I think growing up buying games,
Oh,
like you pay for
Tim, you've
games.
gone then.
Have I gone? You can hear me now? Am I there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm there. It's you know, I want to be able to pay money, have a game, own it, and play it, not sort of do all these little incremental.
It's really,
it's a very different.
It is, and from a dev's point of view, it's really difficult because I'll give you a couple of insights. One, our success as an industry has been our downfall. What I mean by that is everybody loves gaming, everyone wants to build games, and everyone should be allowed to build games. But you can go from, say, like 1,000 developers to 10,000 very quickly. Okay, so that means if you have a really good game, the chances of getting your game seen by, say, a publisher or a investor to help you succeed are getting nigh on impossible, because not because they're not interested, and it's not because they're not being very nice, it's because the volume of submissions they're getting, it's a lottery whether you be seen. So that's one negative. So therefore you then come to a point with mobile where you are almost advised to follow the trend. So if the trend is, if the market is saying I want this for free, and you bring out a $4.99, yes, me and you agree, we're going to buy it. However, if you bring out a game on mobile, let's call it $4.99, £5, and you are not a brand, the chances of somebody on Apple finding you and downloading you are so minimal that you naturally gravitate to the freemium model, which we all hate and we hate. But there are reasons for that. So the industry's success has actually been its downfall in a roundabout way. And I haven't got an answer to that, apart from we stick our head in the sand, build a game and go, please, somebody buy it. That's all you can do. Yeah. That really is all you can do.
And how can you actually get Dungeonfell at the moment? Is it, I know you've got Steam. Is it available anywhere else or any other platforms at the moment? Or are you looking to expand it at all?
Absolutely. Our home ground is Steam because we know it. We also have we can push to Epic at certain times. However, our preferred at the moment is Steam because it is our deployment channel and we're away. We want to get communities buy-in. We want to get good player feedback, and we want to get solid traction to know that our model is right. Then we would love to port to consoles. That's definitely something we want to do. Possibly go back and put a lighter version on a mobile, but that is not crystal clear on our roadmap because, as I say, we're not totally necessarily a mobile developer per se. However, mobiles, listen to me, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, if we can. Now, we as a company have license agreements with Xbox and PlayStation, so there's no reason we can't deploy to that. But I think you really need to. It's like every business case, okay? Everything has a cost, everything has an association. So what we would like to do at the moment is just stabilize ourselves and say, right, let's look at what we've got on Steam. It's a good quality turn-based strategy. Let's invest time into that community and hear what people are telling us. Because if we can build that, modify that, turn it, by the time you push it to other platforms, the game is really shining and singing, if that makes sense. So that's our gameplay at the moment.
Yeah, and you've also sort of mentioned about still sort of adding new things and sort of polishing stuff for the game as it's sort of in the early days. And I think if you then get to the point of other platforms and physical releases, then once you've got that, you kind of want to have a solid finished title, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously run the studio, but my job is made very easy because, as I say, I've got an absolute passionate team of developers at work. My problem is stopping them working and making sure that they go home and have a bit of a rest, because as gamers, they will actually play the game. Okay, so let's just take a typical studio. Right, I've done it. Are we going down the pub? Right, with my lot, I will get messages 9, 10, 1 in the morning. We were playing it tonight and we noticed this. So wouldn't it be good if we done that? So we're coming in the office because we're going to change it. And that's like that's amazing, right? It's because they really want that experience. Now, if they see when they're playing the game, and they do play their own game, if they see something that will make it better, it's not, let's have a meeting, let's have a compass group. It's just done because they know as gamers, if they want it, maybe you will want it. And it is a natural flow. So this game is going to be 120% continually serviced. So, for example, there was ideas today, wouldn't it be good to have some monsters that grabbed your gold. So, for example, you know the structure of Dungeonfell, and you get through to certain areas.
Yeah.
As you get to harder areas, if you take the gold route, there might be like a little skelly that will come in and steal your gold, and you have a certain amount of time frame to kill him to get your gold back plus a reward. But if you miss that, you actually have taken the gold route, but you've lost it to the skelly. So lots of little things like that. I'm not saying that is coming in, but these are sort of discussions that are going on at the moment. So it's an exciting place to work because we don't like static games. And as I say, we don't want to keep changing it. So don't think like every week the game's going to change beyond recognition. That's not what we're saying. But we want a game that's dynamic, that's evolving, new monsters. We're already saying, look, you know, we want other monsters to come in at this point and that point. And Dave's saying, yeah, I've made them and I'm doing this. So give us a week and I'll get this ready. So things like that are happening all the time. And that's a real joy to work in that environment because it's not done by, you know, let's have I suppose we should. I'm shooting myself in the foot, but we're not. We're an indie dev, right? So we're not sitting here saying we're gonna have a practice focus group next Wednesday, and then take a census on Friday, do a work in progress with a stand up to try and plan it into the third quarter. It's like I come in the morning. We need to patch test this because we need to check it. What do you mean? Well, we done this overnight. It's great, right? But it is in a controlled way. Please, really do understand.
It's creativity, though. It's creativity. You're allowed, like that's how you breed success. Is they've got the creativity and the freedom to actually build it. Yeah, and that is like personally, I think if you did get this on mobile, I think it would be a killer because it works perfectly with the touchscreens and stuff.
Well, one of the things we're thinking, if it does go to mobile, and I'd love your honest thoughts on this, I'm thinking it should be landscape only because they're trying to get that UI to work on a portrait is a nightmare.
Yeah. I think that would work. Yeah.
I think you cut too much of it off if you did, and it would be too squashed. I think, like you said, force it to go the other way. I'm just going to show some of my gameplay footage in the background while we talk. But
now that would fit like on a landscape phone.
Yeah, that would fit. Do you know what I mean? Perfectly.
Yeah.
And like you said, all touch.
If you talk to my coder, he'll shout at you because can you see that arc? That was one of the forebears when we looked at mobile because the idea is that's where your thumb is on that arc.
Okay, yeah.
So you can see there was a little bit of a mobile idea-ish creeping in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't really. I think you could put your thumb, like, say I've got it like that, put my thumb at the top. Like, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have my thumb down in that corner. And where it's like fully touch, like we're saying, it is like fully touch. You could even get that to come up at the bottom. But I think the way it works at the minute, how from playing quite a lot of hours on it, because it is really addictive, and I was just trying to get used to what I had to do and everything. I found it would work and that's the one thing I thought. Tablets, like game, like it would work perfectly. And I'd just say from gameplay myself, I've really enjoyed it.
As you're good guys, I mean, who knows? I mean, we'd be stupid to sort of say no because we're not, right? You know, and we can easily deploy to iOS. I mean, the biggest thing for us would actually be a lot of optimizing on the graphics because again, what we could push this very, very quickly to say a high spec iOS, but again, being the studio we would want this to work on quite old phones because we hate it when like you know, like devs say, you know, unless you've got a £1,500 iPhone, it's not going to work. It's you know, come on, games are meant to be played, not just for the clever boys for the latest toys.
I like this as well, like the old upgrade system. So after everything, you can then upgrade your character a tiny bit, and then like as you were saying about choosing your way, you've got an easy, medium, or harder routes, which I think is a great idea as well.
The thought behind this, the healing obviously gives you a lesser problem. And you're rewarded with health. They give you resources, so they give you the scarabs. The other one gives you gold. Now, when you get to the end of your route and you go to the skill tree, you'll see that in each hero has a unlock. So it's not just upgrades on the hero. There are spells you can unlock, which are multi-use across. So in your actual, once you go back in, you could see here when you're...
hang on, let me get this.
No, that's all right. It's the advert. You'll see that when you open up your spell book, you've got locked spells. So as you unlock different spells, they'll appear there. Now,
Yeah.
as you get up the corruption levels and further through the dungeons into the undead, especially into the blasted lands, unless that spell book is brimming with top level relic spells, you've got real problems. So you have to, if you like, follow the learning curve, and each strategy sort of changes. So think of it like at the moment you're in junior chess club. Then when
Yeah.
you go to the undead, you're going into regional chess club. Or when you go into blasted lands, you're in world championships, right? But it's like taking all those skills and move sets with you as you go, and knowing that what works on what occasion. It's quite an intriguing little game. Well, I would say that we made it, but you know what I mean.
It's good. So with the games like this as well, it's good to have that slow increment, because they can be quite complex, and you want them to be complex. You get to a point where it's like, okay, you now see the real nuance and synergy in it. But when you first start playing it, you need to kind of be eased in gently to like, okay, let's learn this bit, learn this element, then learn this element. And by the time you've gone the first few bits and then you've learned all these other elements, like, okay, now I get it. If you throw all of the elements at a player right at the beginning, it's just sometimes you just get overwhelmed. Oh, this is too confusing. I'm not gonna bother. But if you take your time and do it in incremental upgrades in complexity, it's surprising how much you can then learn playing the game. But actually, it's a lot more fun having a complex game like that.
We've actually pushed a patch today, Blanners, that you'd love, because what we've done now is, I noticed we had armor, right? And when your Delver has its turn, he loses the armor. We took that away because it didn't work. So the armor is now kept, so you can start to stack it. So the likes of Blaze, you could use Percival's magical barrier to give them 7 armor across each Delver. Then use a skill to take the armor on Blaze up, or guard, which gives him about 20-30 armor. Now, what that means is at the end of his turn, that armor sits there, so you can use that as a resource. So when you see a monster coming up that's going to do damage to, say, Kaijin, you could ignore that monster, knowing that when Blaze's turn, as long as he's in the turn queue at the right time, he can use his guard to switch the monster attack to himself, where even if they hit, his armor is well above the damage, so that's fine. And a lot of these things are now much more playable, where the earlier build, the armor was just popping on its first turn, which was a really silly thing for us to do. We sat there and looked at it and thought, why the hell did we do that? Because it makes no sense. Because the other thing was, if your initiative is up high and you're first in the fight battle, you lost all your armor by the time you got to the first sort of monster attack, and it's like, oh, we really done that one wrong. So we done an emergency patch to change that around. But these are the things that we're saying, that you can sometimes just lose, not your focus, but you get so involved in the you don't see the obvious. Does that make sense? And
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
because what I was finding, I was doing is I was then go through, like, I was then like strategically going, right, okay, this next run I'm going to go for this hard level straight away. Then I'll go and get my health back, and then I'll do a medium one for coins, like then take the boss. And so I was trying to work out what I was going to do each turn. But yeah, I said in a minute I get to. I haven't got too far because I kept going back and just trying to, like I said, just upgraded myself. This was the first time I played it on desktop. I'd always only ever played it on my Steam Deck, sat downstairs in front of the TV. So I was, as I said, I got quite engaged in it really, and it wasn't until I was looking through, I was like, oh, look, there's a load more characters, and this was the first time I'd actually proper look through them all, because I've just been playing through it for like about 4 or 5 hours.
Well, each character, as you can see, has different sort of abilities. They all have a basic attack, but they all have different. The 2 abilities, and the second attack is normally different. But when you're on these trees as well, which you're flicking through on this video, each one of these unlocks something. Now, some could actually be an upgrade to that player's attack, that Delver. Some can be spells that can be then unlocked in the spell book, which all players can use. And some are relic upgrades. Now, when you're in the fight and you come to the plinth where the relics are being presented to you, you're adding to that pool, so you can start getting really good relics coming through, which you obviously need. So the idea is you find your combination you like, you get all the right spells unlocked that you need, you get all the right relics you want, and then as you're game corruption is getting much harder, you're supported by a lot more things around you to support you through that battle.
That's the spell book that you were on about earlier.
That's it. So
yeah.
see that. Well, you can't because I'm thinking you're playing it, silly devil. But when you're in that spell book and you can actually see,
so I can go back.
No, you're fine. Can you see that little thing above Brace Body, the little universe type icon? If somebody, I mean, I know you can't.
That there,
yeah. But if a player clicks that, it will show you where that is in a tree, so you can work your way to unlock it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So if you decided, like, oh, you know, I'll go on healing, I'll find that, oh, I want that one. You can press that button. That will jump you and say you need Cosmo at this level, and that will then unlock. But once that's unlocked, you can then select that in your spell book, and any character that's playing has the use of that spell. Doesn't have to be Cosmo, for example, to use the spell. Any player can use it, but it's Cosmo that unlocks a spell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone can undo it. So I was just showing gameplay footage on the Steam Deck. Because where you got the touch panels that you can click as well.
Yep.
You can also just use the touch screen if you want, and you can also there's the right trigger, which would give you a click as well. So there's 3 different ways at the minute of playing it. I found that one of the easiest ways was either just touch. This is why I think it would work so well on a phone, because you can just touch it. And I like the fact that you have more than one go as well. So it's not like you just one and done, as we were saying earlier. It's like I think sometimes I could get like at least 2 or 3 maybe attacks off just on that one character before I moved on to the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think
Tim, have you found it?
Yeah, no, I think you've been saying sort of the same thing. So I've been playing on Steam Deck. I've been playing it more using the right trigger to click, just because I find it more comfortable than clicking on the pad. And it's quite a nice pick up and play game as well. Like,
nice.
because as soon as you start playing it, you're playing, aren't you? Like, you pick it up, you have a go, you do a few rounds, and I think I'm actually going to put it down for a bit now. So it's quite a good one that I find I've been playing it in bed quite a bit. So I will go to bed, pick up the Steam Deck, have a few rounds on it before going to bed. So it's
that's really awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
So it's again, it comes back to I think it would work on mobile, because it's something that people would like play for a little bit and put down again and pick up again. I think with I was just thinking about this while you're talking earlier with the problem with mobile games that I'm always shying away from is that, you know, you've got the freemium games, you have these weird models. It's hard to tell what's good and what's not. And the one platform actually now I do play a few more mobile games is Netflix. I think the Netflix games are actually full games. And I think that's something that appeals more to gamers. Whereas, like I said, I think a lot of the time mobile games are just for like the casual market. So it's getting this to the right audience, isn't it, really? Of who's actually going to enjoy that. And as it's what I'd call like a casual game for gamers, or a complex game for casual gamers. It's kind of a nice fits in the middle, I think. So it's going to appeal to a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean, I find, as I say, you can play the set base level and romp it through if you're quality. If you really like turn-based strategy games and you let corruption go up with you, you've really got a test on your hands where it just gets insanely mad, which is great. I must just say, David in chat, thank you so much for your kind comments, David. I didn't want that being ignored. I have been following it through, but I just wanted to say a big thanks for some awesome comments, man. But going back to the game, if you get through to Undead, you're doing pretty well. If you get through to Blasted Lands, you know, best of luck. Because the idea is, as I say, with the corruption level, because it's now forcing you up, you can get to a point where I can't do this, but you can turn corruption levels down. So if you're forced into a level at corruption level 7, you do have the meter where you can go down to 6, 5, 4 and find your natural. But we have one guy, Slamrox in Germany. He's a big Super Squad player. He loves Super Squad. He plays it a lot. We threw him this to see how he gets on, because he's a bit of an expert gamer. And the other day he was on a live feed in our Discord, and we allow players to just push their stream and just share their screen. And we're just sitting in the office and we're watching, and we went, he's on level 12 corruption. We've never seen that before. We didn't, we watched, and he just like played the perfect game, and he's a really cool gamer, and it was like, wow. And we just had to make a mention because it was like big thumbs up. And we thought, right, yeah. So we've pushed again some patches just to sort of like make that complexity more difficult and fun. But yeah, it's good to see your game come to life, and it's good to see that it's achievable, if that makes a sense. I mean, Slam will sit there for 2-3 days just to see if he can get a level done. He puts that many hours in, bless him.
Yeah.
But when you see it done, it's really cool.
I think the fact that you started off with bits of paper and doing like a literal tabletop, bits of card representing each thing, to get from that to what you've got today must be really satisfying to see that.
Absolutely,
literally come to life.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. Barry and the team at Bad Fox have been kind enough to give us some codes, so we're going to give away a couple of codes today. So is that right? How many codes are we giving away, Blooders? Today? So I know we've given away some.
Well, we've got 2, but I feel we give David one.
Absolutely,
I think we give David 100%, David. So
it's right. You've got 3. I'm giving David one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Amazing.
Very good.
So David will get you a code. So make sure you inbox me, like you do, because David is a music man. Barry, literally all our jingles, everything. He's so good. He literally can just make us a jingle in seconds, can't he, Tim?
Yeah, I think we had a 10-minute window to make a jingle live. There's a live challenge.
Literally done it. Yeah, he done it
in 10 minutes, and he managed it. So.
Well, I will send you another code for David because just the comments have been awesome.
Yeah, he's got a lot of questions we've got to go through as well for David as well, Tim.
So what do we want to do? You said if everyone can like the video and drop a comment in the chat of Dungeonfell, we'll then do the wheel. And we'll give it a couple of spins. So do you say you've got one you were giving away in another video, Blooders, or you were going to give?
Yeah, I've got one to give away in my other video.
You got one to give away. Okay.
You go to questions because all Desert Island.
Right, you do that. Let's do questions, and then while you're getting the wheel ready, let's go through the start. So, I'll do this while you do the thingies. So, a question, as always, remains the same. How do you go about finding musicians for your soundtracks? So, what do you do about getting your music and stuff together?
We have a wonderful soul called Pierre in Amsterdam, who's our sound guy, and he knocks out. And also our IT coder Samuel, he's actually done a lot of the music in this as well, because Pierre was like really touched out. But between Sam and Pierre, that's literally done in house. It's not that we don't use anyone and we won't want to use anyone. It goes back to what we said right at the start. As a small unit, we just like to build stuff ourselves and say that was done by us. But as we get more and whatever, but no, it's all done internally to house. So we have a coder that also does sound, who also does art, and vice versa.
Yeah. Cool. Then we've got how do you decide which platforms your games were released on from your earliest game into your latest release, and have these factors changed over the years? We've kind of covered that a little bit throughout this evening, haven't we, about your primary place being Steam.
Primary place of Steam, we used to have, I don't know if people remember the old greenlit challenge, where you used to submit a game, and if it got greenlit, i.e. upvoted, you could release on Steam. That got replaced, obviously, by you just pay the £100 and you can launch on Steam. Steam is one of the most unbeatable platforms, really. It is just enormous visibility if you can trend and get seen. It's hard work, obviously. There are lots of other platforms you could go onto outside on a PC, but obviously you have to build installers and manage your own downloads, etc. That all comes at time and cost. It's not a case of if you had a tin of soup, you can put that in like 10 shops. But with a PC game, you can't just pick it up. You've got to have an installer, anti-cheat, how are you deploying it, how's it stored. So that is a big factor of how a game is deployed. So our go-to is Steam, and then Epic sometimes, and our go-to is wanting to go more on consoles. And as you said, this game may well suit Apple or Android, and who knows. but it's basically Steam from many factors, just the figures.
Excellent. Okay. And then what are your views on DLC coming from an era when once the game was bought, it was unable to be patched and updated?
We are, right, honest answer. I would love to do big patches going forward and have them all free. From a commercial point, they got to be paid for. That's the truth of the matter, okay? If you had $1 million game, why not build some stuff and give back? If your game is only just wiping its feet, you've got to keep going. The plan for Dungeonfell, and I'll be honest, we will be bringing lots of add-ins and lots of ideas into the base game. That's without question. We're not doing that. The plan is to bring additional biomes. I don't know the actual price, and I wouldn't want to be put on the spot at the moment, but it will be a big chunk of gameplay, which will be new monsters, new delvers, new lands, as and when that might start appearing. But that's our plan at the moment. And that is based really against uptake and income. But at the end of the day, the studio is also faced with financial requirements to carry on with the employment, with everything else. That's the only thing for us.
Yeah. Okay, we've got quite a few from David Newland. He's been the question mark.
That's what I said. He's been on it. Yeah.
He's on it. So just finished work on a movie. This says continues, and he's got two. Which one of these is there two parts to this question? He's got, I just finished working on a movie and grew up in the days when movies and video games were dual release. Since it's less common now, do you accept proposals from people, or do you? Where's the next part of that?
Don't know. It must be under that.
It must be switch on there. Sorry, let me see if he's got that in the chat.
Focus solely there. Focus solely on your own ideas. There you go.
There we go.
I got you. He's put solely. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine there, David. No, we're gamers, so we will change our ideas and work with anyone if it's a cool idea. We're creatives, right? So if we said we're going to build A, B, C, D, and this is what we're doing, and someone walked in the door saying, "Yeah, but you should have F and G," and we all look at one another and go, "Yeah, we should." We'll be working with them tomorrow. Simple as. It's about creative and the product, not control.
Okay, and then we've got let's see, let's take that one off. Got a couple more here. So we got back on the subject of mobile again. So for a mobile gamer, how much harder is it coding for a touchscreen interface? But obviously that was included in this in the Steam Deck, isn't it? Because we found the Steam Deck works.
I would ask, I've seen many a Smurf Sam, he's our IT coder that's just getting a build ready for Steam, bless him, and he's still jumping in. I would let him answer that because I can't code. So I think the honest answer to that is it's more how it's packaged and deployed, and it's more the UI UX, the actual base code of how the game works. The noughts and ones of this and that are quite similar. Hold on, I'm going to break him. He's going to come and tell you, David. Hold on.
Okay.
Come and say hello. There's a guy asking, is it hard to code for mobile?
Hello.
Hey, good evening.
Hey,
I'll have you know the patch is already gone.
Oh, amazing.
Sorry, what was the question?
So the question was for mobile gaming, how much harder is it coding for a touchscreen interface?
So we use Unreal, which has kind of out the box a lot of the functionality to handle a phone already. So we essentially, the code is exactly the same. The difficulty with mobile games is less so on the coding side and more on the art side, you know, making sure that all your assets are optimized, making sure that one of the biggest things, which it sounds silly, but you don't really think about it while you're making the game, is how big it's going to be on the hard drive. Because a large percentage of players, really don't want something taking up the hard drive of their phone. So keeping your game to a very small size is really, really important if you want, because otherwise it's going to be one of those things that people play. They might enjoy it, but if their foes are taking up too much space, or there's another game that they love just as much as yours, but a little bit more, your game goes first off the drive. So I would say, in terms of coding, like it's pretty much the same. Funny enough, but art, that's the big thing, definitely.
Cool, thanks. I don't know if we take the next question, if you want to swap out with Barry, or what?
Let's get that. I'm just Barry now.
Yeah.
Barry.
Barry, swap back in then for the next one.
Cool, I'm back.
And then we've got in the ever complex world of copyright, and how and given how many games are out now, how challenging it is creating new worlds, characters, NPCs, and sound effects.
Great question. Great question. And honest answer, build your own, have all the files, have all the structure, have all the concept, have all the models. It's your copyright, no argument. If there's an argument of plagiarism on another character, you have to be really, really close in using it in a very similar way. It's almost non-existent unless you're a big brand. So, you know, you can obviously be ripping someone off by calling someone very similar name and looking very similar. We don't have that problem because we can say, look, this is the concept, this is the art, it fitted, and here. We don't use AI. We don't use anything from outside that we have to worry about copyrights, hence music. And this could be... A lot of people don't realize the rule of copyright law, that a creative that produces anything will always have the right to that work, regardless of even if they contractually agree to sell it on. Okay.
All right.
So if you write a model, if you do a piece of art or write music, and I come to you and say, I want to buy that solely, absolutely 100%, and you agree, and we do that exchange with lawyers and solicitors, I have the total copyright and financial value of that copyright. If I start to use that in a way that you as the originator are unhappy, you can challenge me and win in court and stop me doing it. So if you wrote a song that I was using in, say, a pornographic way, which upset you, and you could plead that, although I've got the copyright, although I own the rights, and although all the monetary gain is mine, you as the original artist could say it was never intended for that, and I object.
Oh, okay.
Right? Now, I'm not saying no,
right? It's a good for instance.
The point is, we have, you know, we're self-made, which is nice. And if we work with people, then we like them to be, not say necessarily be part of the team, but work in that holistic way.
Yeah. Okay. I think with copyright stuff as well, as I'm a bit, I find it a bit confusing. Hang on, I've just unstarred, and I haven't removed the comment off the screen yet. So let me just find there's the last question from. There we go.
Sorry, you just click on
there we go.
anything.
Okay, there he is now. Sorry. I think it's that. So when it comes to like sort of character models, I look at things where it has to be recognizably not the original character.
Correct.
So you have to like make it look like something where anyone looking at knows this isn't that person. But it does seem to be very loose. So you see a lot of things where it's clearly Batman, but it's not called Batman, and it's something else, and things like that. Especially when it comes to things like T-shirts and stuff. Like a lot of people make T-shirts with stuff on there which is clearly from Star Wars or Marvel or something, but it's unrecognizable enough that it's not that original thing. And Absolutely. They seem to get away with it. And then with music, the rules are different. With films, the rules are different. And it's quite a big minefield of stuff. So I suppose if in doubt, try your best to come up with original content so you're not worried about that.
Absolutely. No,
it's probably the best thing to do. Yeah. So how are we getting on, Blunders, with a wheel? We've got
Well, to be fair, I feel the two that are in there that we use them because there's not we haven't had as many Dungeonfells in there. But whilst you're doing that, if you go to if you did you want to do your Desert Island quick?
Yes, we do. So that will be going to Toxo
and Adam H.
So yes, we will get those codes over to you guys. If you email retrogamerevival@gmail.com, and we will get some codes over to you guys, and you can start playing some Dungeonfell and let us know what you think. Excellent. Right, and then we'll wrap up the last bit of the evening with the Desert Island Games Room. So let me see if I can put on our little intro. There we go. It's been a while since we've done this one, so I will reintroduce this segment because it feels like it's been a while since we've been to the Desert Island Games Room. So we are building a Desert Island Games Room. Assume that any console you want is there. You're trapped in this island, but you can bring a game with you to play while you're in isolation here. What game from what system would you be bringing, and why?
I would say at this moment, hand on heart, it would most probably be Satisfactory, only because the replayability and the way my brain works for that game.
And what platform is that on? I have to admit, I'm not familiar.
I've got that on Steam, so I've got that
on Steam. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is? I don't believe I'm familiar with Satisfactory. So what is Satisfactory?
It literally is. You literally land. It's 3D Factorio in a way, but you literally land on this world. You mine, you build things, more resources. Then you build machines to take those resources and do other resources. And then you're building factories bigger and bigger and bigger. So to me, the procedure, the playability, the graphics in that game, I think are really good fun for the value and the money. And I can literally lose hours, and I have done. So yeah, if I'm stuck on a desert island, that would
Is this
eat
the
my
one?
day. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Will it play?
It's the Coffee Stain Studios originally done Goat Simulator, believe it or not, and this is like completely beyond that. But if you look at the look at some of the titles, it basically you have this character that you run around, but this is your player. But I don't play at this view. I play it sort of looking out. But you literally mechanically build structures, conveyor belts. You have to get the right power. So it's very. I don't think these videos do it any favors at all. Funny enough, but yeah, it really doesn't portray the game at all. So I've spent, I would say, about 800 hours in that game, and I'm still only about 10% of where I want to be.
No way. 800 hours.
Oh, at least, yeah.
That's really good. I've never heard of it. So I might look into this.
No, it's a fascinating. I mean,
it's got ghetto. Has he got Ghetto Blaster as a gun?
Yeah, you can actually unlock those, play music while you're building. But I find these tutorials are cool. Don't get me wrong, and I think they're played to the younger audience. But can you see all these buildings? You actually build these from scratch, so you can sort of mine sort of ballast to make cement. Then you can mine iron and copper to make bolts and make screws, and then you blend them together to make copper plates. You blend that together, and everything needs a power. So you've got to burn coal or get hydro working. It's a really complex game. Yeah, these, if you do the screenshots, these are all what you make. So you can see there's a little miner there that's producing rock with splitters. They'll go off to different other processes. Then you unlock trains, but you've got to build the trains, and it goes on and on and on. So me being a little bit of a builder at heart, I just love the game.
Yeah, wow.
Cool.
Wow, that's a new one from us, Triangle Face. How about you?
I've not seen that one before, so have a look at that. So, well, thanks very much for joining us this evening, and thanks again for sharing some codes with us and our audience so we can get on to Dungeonfell and have a go as well and been playing that. I know that Blooders has sunk quite a few hours into it already.
And I'm going to send David's over straight as we finish so David can pick that one up.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm sure David appreciates it. So thank you. So in the last few minutes before we wrap up, where's the best place to follow sort of Bad Fox Studios if people want to keep up with your releases and follow you guys as a studio? Have you got anywhere you want to plug?
No, absolutely. Well, obviously, all our patches now on our Steam store. We've got a Discord. Please feel free to jump in.
Thanks very much, David. Really appreciate that.
If players want to jump in our Discord, that's active with devs. We also have lots of streamers in there. I believe you guys are actually in there as well. So anyone that wants to join our channel, please do. Yes, it's a cool meeting place to play the game, but it's also a cool place to talk.
Do they mind if I post a Discord link in there?
Of course.
Go for it.
Put it in the chat.
Can you put it on no timeout, no expire? Yeah, we're gonna post our Discord link in your chat with a no expire time.
And we can always put it in the description, then can't we, Blooders, afterwards? We'll pop it in the description.
I can put it in the description.
But we really are open, so it's not, you must come in and say how good the game is and only talk about the game. We try to be a proper community as well. Obviously, it's focused around the game. But I would say check our Discord, check our Steam store page. If you do like the game, please leave us a review because those things really help devs. Good or bad, we don't mind. We just like reviews because that ticks the algorithms.
Absolutely. Cool. Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Yeah, thanks again, Barry, for joining us.
No,
we are back again next week for Turtle Advocate podcast, so stay tuned for that. And also, we've got Bristol VGE this weekend, haven't we? So this Saturday.
Yeah, so we're both down, and well, us and Ollie, we're all in Bristol on Saturday, hosting as well. So yeah, it's at the gaming event there.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think the last time we went to one of the VG events was in Nottingham was really good day. There's loads of different stuff to do. I think a few of the guys in the chat are going to be down there. I think Toxo is going to be there, actually, he said. So we will get a chance to say hi and meet and hopefully have some talks.
Grizzle.
Yeah, have some talks with some game developers as we do, and also check out some of the different vendors there. So yeah, excellent. Right, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.